RUF.nl, and you can keep track of it along with us. But real quick, before we go towards that, we're going to check out a lap guide around here and see what it's like with Kevin Brown behind the wheel of one of these cars. All right, let's do a lap around Road America with Kevin Brown behind the wheel of the GSRC RUF. Coming down the front straightaway across the start-finish line, this is the longest straightaway on the course, so obviously turn 1 is going to be a good passing opportunity. However, it's deceptively fast, and it's off-camber, which means the car is going to want to slip to the outside here. And you really got to be careful about that, because if you go off into the grass, the car will spin off into the inside wall, and then it's curtains. Then you've got decent braking into 3. Now the important thing here is really to get the car rotated and set yourself up for the moraine sweep here, because it's a very popular passing zone into turn 5. You're going to see a lot of guys that are trying to get into the slipstream of the car in front of them and set themselves up for the pass. Now 5, you can brake way later than you think you should. There's so much grip in this car, but you've really got to watch out for that inside curb. The car is going to try and hop around if you get greedy and get unsettled. Up into 6, there's a little bit of a crest here, and if you brake too late, you're going to drift wide. Still, you can get oversteer on this corner. Then, the fast right-hander of 7, just a little bit of a lift through this kink, and it's into the hurry downs. Decent braking into 8, another possible passing zone if you catch someone sleeping. But look at the oversteer that Kevin gets through here and still holds on to it. Then it takes you off into the carousel. Because of the power in this car, it's going to want to push wide. Very long corner. So once again, got to set yourself up for the exit for the long back straightaway here. And then it's off into the kink. Very fast corner, just a little bit of a lift, 130 miles an hour plus through here. Don't go wide, there's not much runoff, and you could mess up the car if you take it into the wall. Then it's down to Canada Corner. This is a tricky one because it always feels like you could take just a little bit more through there, but if you take too much speed, it's off into the gravel for you. Now 13A, another left-hand kink, just a little bit of a lift. Once again, don't go off into the grass or you could lose it. And now finally the final corner. Another time that it's really important to get the car rotated here and get yourself set up for this final straightaway across the start-finish line to complete a lap once again. Hopefully you got a run on the guy in front of you, but that's a lap around Road America. And that was a pretty good lap around there, Kevin. Although I'm seeing that the lap times on qualifying are looking a little bit faster, but that just comes with familiarity. And this is a new car around iRacing. And I mean, tell us a little bit about the RUF, because it's definitely a more popular one here lately.
Yeah, Joe, it really is. And you can see that right now with all the interest everybody's got. 60 cars, 30 in the roof track and 30 on the C-Spec. Richard?
Yes, absolutely. It is a new car, and everybody's taken to it. The track version in particular, Kevin, handles very, very well on any track, and so a lot of people have enormous interest in this. The C-Spec is slightly more tricky to drive, but also very manageable. So people are loving this car and jumping into it.
Yeah, and I have to admit, I'm one of the ones that's really drawn in by this car. I love driving the track, as you mentioned, Richard. It's very easy to pick up, just drives super well. Um, So one of the things that we need to watch out for is, despite the car's power, just about every car that you see on this track, Richard, they have to look out for the draft. Like you mentioned, those long straightaways, it just seems to be something that's kind of a part of how you race here. You have to think about it strategically, when you make the pass and how you make it, because they're not shy of opportunities.
Absolutely, and bear in mind, Joe, we have got 60 cars on track here. There's a mixture of the slightly faster track car and then the slower C-Spec. But it's not going to be very long at all before the cars are completely mixed up, or the two classes are completely mixed. And with a track like Road America, where the draft does play a very, very big part, particularly down the moraine sweep there and through the that long straight leading to the kink, the strategy has to be wait and see, in my opinion.
Yeah, because it's going to take a while for things to really sort themselves out. And as qualifying just gets ready to wrap up here, Kevin, we've mentioned, that there's two different types of cars on track and that there's a championship at play, but we haven't mentioned yet how that works out, how these guys are competing.
Well, it's pretty simple. Each team has one driver in the roof track and one driver in the roof C spec, and they will be awarded points by their finish in class. And then the team with the most points is the winner of the team challenge. And we do have to point out that winner, each driver gets $5 in iRacing credit. So that's a pretty nice little bonus as well.
Yeah, not just bragging rights at play here today. And, with even though these drivers are going to want the class win, they're going to be fighting for that, and there's bragging rights in that. I think the big thing here that these guys really want to do and to be able to work together as a team is get that team championship. That is the gold crystal that everybody's climbing the mountain for at the moment. We've got just a few seconds of qualifying left. We're going to let everybody wrap up here and get themselves settled out. Then we'll go through the grid as we are letting them do the warm-up lap around here. Real quick before they do that, Richard, who are you looking at in C-Spec class that has really impressed you right now?
Well, just looking down the list of qualifiers, Anders Dahl is second in qualifying. And we know Anders from some of the endurance races in the faster cars that we've seen him in. So I'm be looking for him. Mano Palumbo is another driver in the C-Spec that I'm really interested in. I know that he's fast. Paul Ilbrink. There's a bunch of them there. A lot of fast drivers, but those are the ones I'm looking at in the beginning of this race, Joe.
What about you, Kevin? Who's got your eye on the track?
Well, for me, it's the Team Radicals combination of Mac Backham and Paul Ilbrink. That's a couple of very, very fast drivers, and I think combined they have the best I rating in the field. But they're getting stumped a little bit by some other teams right now, so it's going to be fun to watch them try and move forward.
Well, it looks like everybody's just getting lined up on the grid now, and there is 60 cars for us to go through. So let's go through the field and how the qualifying wound up. First 10 at a time. Mac Backham leads with the pole overall. Stefan Mauselar is in second. Then we have Luigi Nepolini in third. Mirko Salati is in fourth. Saba Volica Jr. in fifth. Marco Derricks in sixth. Egil Sandfield in seventh. Richard Schultren in eighth. Carl Villeneuve in ninth. And Dennis Gressen in 10th.
And then in 11, we have Denny Rates, Martin Hilgers, Stefan Overgaard, Christian Paulini, Baz Slaab, Robert Vitta, Nico Brandt, Jas van Hoorn, Garrett van Bommel, and Andy Morgan will be 20th. Richard?
And in 21st place, we have Ruud Mulders. We have Arjan Skeppers in 22nd, Remco Moot in 23rd, Reinus Dreges in 24th place, Ella Stevens holding down 25th place, and then we have Onno Neighbor in 26th, Arno Gibbon in 27th, Paulo Martins in 28th place as they move off Joe, and 29th place Joep Willemsen, who did not qualify, and Willem van Zuren also did not qualify in 30th place.
And kicking off the C-Spec field on pole for that class, Diego Comuni. Then in second, it's Anders Dahl. Third is Jean-Paul Niehaus. Fourth is Henrik Carlsen. Fifth is Hermano Palumbi. Then sixth is Angelo De Melia. Seventh is Paul Ilbrink. Eighth is Wim Stockmans. And ninth is Pascal Lan. Then 10th is Dirk Tuurlings.
And 11th in the C-Spec will be Nick Tissen, then Bob Van Katwijk, Koen Gerarts, Eric Kroon, Andre Martin, Rasmus Larsen, Ricardo Solari, Doriano Ricciuti, Karsten Borgers, and 20th will be Roy Visser. Richard?
And in 21st place in the C-Spec, we have Ronnie van Hezig, followed by Danny Bofers and Taman Nabirs, followed by Michael Mellis, Nick Heckens, Mark Figueres, Marcel Langner, Davy Douge, Tim Vision, And in 60th place, not having a qualifying time, Steve Richardson. Finally, an easy name.
And I have to say that, Richard, you did much better than both Kevin and I, as poor Americans having trouble with all these European names. But just look at that field, guys. I mean, looking at the cameras on the track, and it just seems like it goes on forever and ever. I don't think you have a concept of how many cars are 60 cars until you see them all together.
Absolutely, Joe. And, I'm looking at car number 31, which is the start of the C-Spec class. And way, way, way in front of him, there's 30 more cars. So a huge field, and it's going to be a really fun race, I believe.
Yeah, and it's going to be a long race too. We mentioned it's 90 minutes long, so these guys have got to be patient. You mentioned that earlier on. It's not just going out, all guns blazing. You have to think about the strategy. With so many cars on track, you have to think, okay, there's going to be some chaos. I'm going to pick up some spots if I just stay out of trouble. And I don't know about you, Kevin, but I think if I were in one of those cars in the midfield, my thought would just be make it out alive in the first 3 laps.
Yeah, you said it. And that's going to be the challenge is making it alive through there. We did see that with the qualifying times and practice times, that the slower track cars are running similar lap times to the faster C-Spec cars. So that's going to make life even more difficult for everybody as well.
Yeah, very closely matched. And that's going to be made difficult for us by the fact that these cars look identical, so we apologize if we call the wrong class at any point in this race. We're going to do our best. We're getting very close to the pace car pulling up to the green flag. They've got just about 2 more corners to go, and they are ready to go on the 90 minutes at this RTC 180. And it is going to be a great one. I'm really looking forward to this. We've done races like this with a lot of cars here before, but nothing quite like this with the team challenge going on. Pace car coming around the final corner, coming up to the pit entrance, getting ready to peel off and let them go to take the green flag. There he goes, off in, waiting for the green to go. And it looks like Mac is not waiting at all. He takes off right now. There's the green. He's got a huge jump as Stefan Mauselar is nowhere to be seen. In fact, he's under threat from Luigi Nespolini right away, Kevin.
Yeah, and you can see the leaders going defensive right away. It looks like Luigi's going to poke his nose on the inside, but no, he's going to give it up and safely through turn 1.
Guys, the C-Spec, there's quite a gap between the C-Spec and the track. They've just started off now, and in the lead, I believe we have Anders Dahl, and he's being followed at the moment by Diego Comini, the fastest qualifier. So that's the top 2. They are followed by Jean-Paul Niaus. So these are the top 3 now in the C-Spec.
Well, amazingly, everyone made it through 1 through 3 clean. They're heading into 5 right now and keeping an eye to see if anybody is having any trouble, because this is a known trouble point as guys try to make dives. Everyone's pretty clean. We see a few people taking avoiding action, but ultimately everyone manages to make it through all the way to 5 clean, although I see some spin marks. I'm not sure if that was recent.
No, it looks like everybody's clean. There's a little bit of side-by-side action through 5 and 6, but yeah, everybody's keeping it on track so far. Still a lot of race to go.
Meanwhile, back up at the front of the track class, it looks like Mac Backham has his lead pretty solidly at the moment. He's not completely out of the woods because Mauselar is definitely holding on to him, but it's a decent gap, especially considering it's only the first lap.
And yeah, guys, the front runners in the C-Spec are starting to catch up to the back markers in the track, so this is going to make life very interesting.
Yeah, and we were told beforehand that these guys are actually not going to be racing, intra-class. So they are only looking for positions within their class. And so that's going to make it even more difficult because they'll have to have patience with each other at this point, Richard.
Yeah, absolutely. But Diego Comini, he is running currently in 2nd place. Anders Dahl in 1st place in the C-Spec class. These guys are about a couple of seconds off catching the back markers of the other class, the track class. So, like I say, this is going to be very, very interesting. I'm watching Paul Ilbrink, who had a mention from Kevin as being one of the fast guys here. He's a little way back at the moment in the C-Spec class, but look for him to make up some spots. But certainly at the moment, Anders Dahl in C-Spec.
Yeah, and you mentioned him earlier, Richard, as someone to watch out for, and I think you were spot on because he went from second to first on the first lap, and is definitely running away a bit at the moment as he catches the back of this pack, which is still squabbling as I look at William Zorin, Joep Williamson, Arno Gieben, and such back there at the back of the track spec.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. Go
Richard,
ahead,
I
Kevin.
would like to say that after lap one, we have a tie in the team leads standings. So Team Granny Smith of Hermano Palumbo and Stefan Mauselar are tied for first with Team GT.
And we have a
of
big accident down in the at the end of the straight there, and I can't quite see who it is. I'll check for you.
Well, while we get that information, yeah, it looks like there's already competition going on. Arno Gieben.
Arno Gibbon was the gentleman who had that accident. He's back running again, but that was huge. He was flying up in the air there, Joe.
Yeah, looking at that replay now to see what exactly happened. And yeah, it looks like it's coming into, which corner is this? This is turn 6 that he is off that I am seeing at the moment. So apparently I did not see the actual airborne. Oh, that was into 5. Yeah, so that was an unfortunate move that just went south, got tipped, like you said, rolled on over through 5 and into the gravel.
Yeah, it's it's the entry after the moraine sweep. A very fast corner that you have to slow the car down very much to take that corner, and he got just tipped by another driver. So first accident, first big one for the day.
And after lap 2 going by, I'm seeing no change up at the top of the championship standings right now. Team Granny Smith is still leading it with Team GT holding on to second. The Radicals that you mentioned earlier, Kevin, are holding down third right at the moment.
And actually, as drivers started crossing the start-finish line and time and scoring's updated, we see Team Radicals has moved up into second, tied now with Team Saba.
So that was a good call, it seems, between Paul Ilbrink and Mac Backham, starting to just work their way up. Let's head over to Palumbo, see where exactly he is. I'm trying to find him currently in the standings, and
I've got him, Joe. He is currently sitting in about 5th place in the C-Spec class. He's a little way off the guys in front of him: Anders Dahl, Diego Comini, Jean-Paul Nias, and Henrik Carlsen, who's moved up a few spots because he was not up there in the first. As they come down to the moraine sweep, there's a car going wide in there. Hermano Palumbo now has quite a few cars in front of him, but he's made up a couple of spots, so he's going well, Joe.
And that's Ricardo Solari, who is currently off track and waiting for everyone to go by. I'm not exactly sure what was going on there. He is in the C-Spec class, and I'm not sure if he is a lap down. He may be. He was pretty far back. Yes, it looks like he might be a lap down, actually.
Another car off just behind. Go ahead, Kevin.
We've got a nice little action in Canada corner where Saba Volka and I believe it's Eagle Sandfeld Mirko Salati are attacking each other right now and through the final kinks.
Yeah, let's hold on to this battle because this is a good one right now. Mirko takes another look on the inside of the final corner. Can't quite make it happen. He's going to get another go coming down the long front straightaway. In fact, he probably won't have to outbrake him at this point with a bad exit coming around there in that red car. It looks like Mirko can just cruise on by.
Yeah, Saba Volka really kind of hurt himself with that poor exit, but he's got that huge draft right now. He's going to look on the outside as Mirko Salati goes defensive, and we're going to have to wait to see how this one shakes out, and Saba's going to have to tuck in behind, and he's definitely lost out on that position.
Well, he's not giving up yet. He was closing up, but he does not dare to try it into 3. Meanwhile, behind them, Richard Schutren is definitely drooling and chomping at the bit because he caught up quite a bit to them with them battling, and it ain't over yet.
Yeah, we can see Saba got a much better exit this time, and he's already pulled past in front of Mirko Salati as they approach turn 5.
And let's see if he tries to make something happen. No, it looks like Mirko decides to hold back. He's a little too far back. Richard was right up behind him, but decided also to not try and make a move. Still going defensive for Mirko into 6, so it's not over. But, this is something that we see a lot at this track, Kevin, is that guys start to battle, especially when they're a little bit back from the leaders, and they start to drop time because they're trying to sort it out instead of working together.
Guys, I've got to jump in here. We got action in the C-Spec class. They're going down in the moraine sweep into turn 5. They were 3 wide just before, and they are nose to tail the first 3. Anders Dahl, Diego Comini, and Jan-Paul Nias, with Henrik Carlson also looking from behind there. So there's action aplenty going on right here.
Yeah, Diego somehow got into the front there that we didn't catch, so he is on a rip right now. Anders is not giving up. He doesn't take a look coming into the hurried downs. Everyone kind of accordions up. It is very close. In fact, for this being the lead pack, this is a lot of cars, Richard, being all so close together.
And
Yeah,
Joe,
go ahead, Kevin.
This battle between Mirko Salati and Richard Schouderen is back on. They went side by side through Canada, straightened out through the kink, and now it looks like Richard Schouderen is aiming up for a good exit onto the main straight, try and get that position.
Yeah, he is. He's doing his best and just holding on. But just behind them, Carl Villeneuve is starting to get into it as well. It seems like it's just rippling its way down as people try and battle. Next person gets to run away. Richard definitely has a run coming up on Mirko. He's on the outside, so he's going to have to work hard, going side by side. Good driving from both of them. They both managed to keep it together. And amazingly, Mirko is still just slightly ahead, heading into the braking for 3. And it looks like Mirko has got it, just eases ahead, but he bobbles, and this allows Carl to just get up into the mix. In fact, he's got much better momentum than both of them. They go 3 wide down the moraine sweep.
It looks like Villeneuve's going to make up 2 spots in 1 move. Wow, well done.
Absolutely opportunistic, but because of that draft, it's still going on. Richard is looking on the inside, going 3 wide into the braking once again. Mirko is the one that loses out this time, has to escape down the outside, and Carl Villeneuve still manages to hold on to it, so very good job into that corner there.
And a nice little bit of conservative driving there from Mirko Salati. He knew he was on the outside in a 3-wide situation, decided to just give it up and not risk wrecking his car so early in the race.
Yeah, we're only about 5 laps into this 45-lap race here, so it's still very early to be racing this hard. I think that was a wise move from him. I'm looking at the team standings right now. Granny Smith still holds it down from what I'm seeing, but Team GT has taken back over the Radicals.
Guys, I gotta jump in here. We've got an accident down at the end of Moraine Sweep again. Quite a few of the C-Spec cars involved. They were going in very deep into that corner, and Jean-Paul Nias was involved there. He has actually taken a tow, so he's back to the pits. Anders Dahl I'm seeing as well. He's still running. Who is behind Anders? Diego Comini. So the top 2 have made it through, but behind them a big accident once again.
So it's all starting to unfold here, and I don't see Jean-Paul Niehaus on the track. He was in 3rd last time by the line, so it looks like his day has been set back significantly, Richard.
Absolutely. He's the one who's taken the tow, and so he's lost out. He was running in 3rd place, and he decided to make his move down into 5 there, which was perhaps not the best place to do it, but, you know, he had a little bit of blood rushing to the head there and tried the move on. And we have another contact with Emano Palumbo being contacted by the couple of cars in front of him. Paul Ilbrink that was. So action aplenty just here right now on this track. And I don't think it's the end of it at all as we see a car spinning. That is Willem van Zuren spinning in front of Paul Ilbrink. So wow, the action is just hot and heavy. Back to you, Joe.
Yeah, Willem. Go ahead, Kevin.
Joe, I want to point out that Paul Ilbrink's teammate, Mac Backham, he had a 2.5 lead over the entire field, but now Team Granny Smith's Stefan Mauselar has caught up with him. That gap is about half a second. These guys are starting to get it going on, and it looks like Stefan is very strong right now. He's a little bit slower through Canada, or excuse me, through the carousel than Mac Backham is, but he was breathing hard and heavy all over on the front straight and the Moraine Sweep last time by. Let's see how he does through the kink and down into Canada.
Ooh, boy, Stefan was really pushing to the limit. I could see that car just kind of wobble a little bit as he went through the kink, but he held on to it, took it right to the edge, so he is holding on. I was keeping half an eye on these guys. I'm glad you mentioned, because it definitely looked like Mac was losing the lead that he had gained, and a good call on that. On through the penultimate corner here into the final one. It looks like there's not much gain, but bit by bit, Stefan is starting to reel him in. In fact, that was a pretty good one right there, coming onto the front straightaway there. I'm thinking that maybe into these slow corners, Stefan just has slightly better braking.
You may be right, but now what's interesting is now these guys are fighting for the team challenge, and Stefan Musalar's teammate in Team Granny Smith is Hermano Palumbo, and he got caught up in that big C-spec wreck. So now Mac Backham has to worry about the team challenge. Stefan Musalar, not so much.
Absolutely. So maybe that's something that Mac is keeping in the back of his mind, because he knows that he needs this way more than Stefan does. So Stefan can just simply kind of sit back, and as long as his teammate's in a good position, he knows he's got that championship in his back pocket. He doesn't have to fight as hard.
Well, guys, I can tell you that Team Granny Smith, who were leading at one point in the team standings, they've fallen way back to 10th place now, courtesy of Hermano Palumbo, who was involved in that incident down at Moraine Sweep, turn 5, and had to pit. So they're out of the challenge just at the moment, and Radicals, the team Mark Backham and Paul Ilbrink, at the moment leading the team standings.
Yes, Ilbrink is holding down 3rd place at the moment, if I'm seeing this correctly. So he is doing quite fine for himself. I'm looking right now, although he is not out of the woods, because Angelo Demelia is right behind him with Wim Stockman. So these guys got a pretty close battle going on in your field, Richard.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can also mention that Anders Dahl has got the lead back from Diego Comini. So Anders Dahl is leading the C-Spec class at this point in time. Diego Comini is in 2nd, and Paul Ilbrink, that we just mentioned, he is currently running 3rd in this class.
Well, Anders doesn't seem to be having a very nice time, because he's got Andy Morgan, who is in the other class that he's fighting with at the moment. Just tried to pass him into turn 5 and slowed him down just a bit. Hopefully Andy can start pull away so that we don't get this good, so that he doesn't hold up Anders too much, I should say.
Yeah, well, he was in between Anders Dahl and Diego Comini for a while, but he's got it together, and he's managed to overtake Anders again, which is what should happen, being the faster class. So these guys in the C-Spec can get back to battling each other, Joe.
Oh, I'm sorry. Significant development in the C-Spec. Paul Ilbrink took turn 5 way too hard and almost slid out, but he's lost 2 more positions. We'll have to see how this affects the championship.
Yeah, indeed. Wim Stockmans has passed him, as well as Angelo Demella, so he's lost a couple of spots, and that does not drop them from the team standings just at this moment, because obviously his teammate is still running well in the other class. So he's got a couple of spots to make up now to get back in front of these guys, but he wouldn't be too worried at this stage if he knows what the team standings are, which, mind you, I doubt that he does know, being concentrating on his driving.
Well, you have to wonder which of these guys has, multiple monitors up and maybe another window open to just keep an eye on that, or if maybe anybody has a spotter or a crew chief kind of talking in their ear, letting them know what they need to do. Because with that, having to have that kind of in the back of your mind, even though you always want to do the best possible, it's sort of a question of, like I mentioned earlier, if your teammate is doing very well, do you challenge hard to try and get by that guy, or know that you've got a solid place going and there's no need to risk it when you're doing better than the guys next to you?
And Joe, I'm going to update you on that. That position change for Paul Ilbrink means that Team Radicals is tied with Team GT2, which is the team of Luigi Nespolino and Angelo De Mella. Those 2 guys are both sitting on 56 points at the top of the leaderboard.
And just below them, I see iRacing Denmark Team 1. Eagle Sandfield and Rasmus Larsen have worked their way up. They're 6 points behind. So.
Oh, there's a big wreck in the tracks. I'm sorry, guys. Saba Volka spun and was collected by the following car of Richard Schouteren. That's going to put paid to both of these guys' chances. That was a big hit.
Yeah, looking at the replay now, and Saba just absolutely was tumbling end over end there for a moment. So I'd say his day is probably done, because that's a huge hit.
Well, we do have to point out these all the cars do get 1 free instant repair, so they can take advantage of that. But Saba's going to at least have to tow the car, or maybe he's trying to limp it back into pit lane. But that car's in bad shape. He's going to have to use that free repair.
Well, thankfully, he was close enough, because right now he's just gotten a pit lane and is able to get it in there. So it looks like he's able to not have to take that tow and get into his spare car. But we're only on lap 8 of 45, so that's a long way to go to try and not make any more mistakes.
And the battle back for the overall lead is back on. Stefan Mauselar was just a moment ago right on the bumper of Mac Backham. I thought he almost might have made contact there. They were so close. But once again, Mac's a little quicker through the turn 7 and into the approach of the carousel. And Stefan has to drop off. Maybe Stefan's got poor downforce through the carousel. He really loses a lot of time to Mac through there.
Absolutely, and it's a difficult corner with all the aero that you need through there, with it being so long and a medium speed corner, really. So it definitely seems to be hurting him. Coming into Canada corner, though, he's fairly far back, so I don't think he's going to be able to make a challenge unless we see a mistake from Mac once again, or he can just reel that car slowly in.
Yeah, you can see once again Mac Backham going very, very wide on the exits of many a corner here. That he's got to be careful. It's pretty easy to kind of lose traction in the rear end of the car and let it go around on you. As you see, he kind of does that once again. Gets a little bit loose on exit and shoots to the inside of the track. That's definitely going to hurt his overall speed on this big, huge front straight.
And one thing I keep noticing is with him clobbering the curbs, he's getting what you call a pogo. And why don't you tell other viewers a little bit about that, because that's something that's distinct about this car.
Yeah, it's a nasty little effect in the roof where the front end starts kind of bouncing, just like it's sitting on a pogo stick, and it just starts bouncing away out there. And what happens is it keeps the car from being able to get traction on the front tires, on the inside and on the outside, and it means you're slower through the corner, you're slower onto power, and it absolutely affects your overall lap time, and you have to try and avoid it in this car. Otherwise, you are pretty much a sit and duck as it keeps you from getting on the power 100%.
Well, as I go through the field, I see that we are definitely getting into some of the lapped cars here at the moment. So some of the higher track cars seem to be trying to have to deal with traffic, and that's just going to add a whole nother dimension to this thing, Richard.
Yes, sir, indeed. I can tell you guys that Diego Comini was running in second place. He had a problem somewhere on the track. I didn't catch exactly where it happened, but he's dropped down a whole bunch of positions. He is now in class, running in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th place in his class. So he's dropped from 2nd to 8th. And Angelo De Mella currently is holding down the 2nd place. So a big change there in the C-Spec class. But Anders Dahl, pardon me, I'm got a frog in my throat. Back to you, Joe.
It's okay. I'm looking at the standings currently, and it's still tied up between the Radicals and Team GT2 up at the top, with iRacing Denmark and PM Gulf Racing also tied for third here at 51 points. So it's all incredibly close up at the front in the championship. In regards to where some of those guys are, Team GT2 tied for first. Luigi Nespolini, who we haven't talked about a whole lot, he's holding down third. He's not close enough to make anything happen with Mac Backham and Stefan Mauselar at the moment. But, if those two start battling, that's what he's going to need, and that's going to help him possibly start to overtake Mac Backham and the Radicals and maybe affect that championship.
Yeah, I think... and one thing I just want to mention here, sorry, Kevin, is that Anders Dahl is leading the C-Spec class, as we've mentioned before, but his teammate, Stefan Overgaard, is fairly well back in the track class. So for them to make up championship points, Stefan really has to get a move on and try and make up some positions, Joe.
Yeah, and we're very familiar with Stefan. We've watched him race in a number of series before, and he's one of those kind of fast but steady guys, but doesn't seem to ever be able to quite crack that nut to be a real threat overall.
And what we should point out, Stefan has he's been in our last two broadcasts over this weekend in two completely different cars. So he's definitely put his skill set to good use here today.
Yes,
a man of many talents. Go ahead, Richard.
Yeah, he's currently sitting in 16th place in the track class, though. But it is a long race. And the reason we're talking a lot about him right now is because he's teamed up with Anders Dahl, who's leading the C-Spec class and doing a great job there. And finally, if Stefan can get up a few places, that will move their team, which is called, what is their team called? iRacing Denmark team. They could move up a little bit. They're currently in 7th place.
Well, speak of the devil, it looks like there was a spin in front of Stefan, so that's one more spot for him. And he's actually got Let's see. It looks like Garrett Van Bommel is not far in front of him. So if he can just pick it up a little bit, or maybe utilize some of this traffic, he can get a few more spots, maybe.
Yeah, it looks like he's past Garrett just then. And let me see. No, he hasn't. He's following Garrett Van Bommel, so he's still sitting in 16th place. There was a car sitting on the infield there, and I don't know who that was, but the action is still fast and furious. Yeah, I must say, we just can't keep up right now, Joe.
Yeah, and to give you an idea just how much action has gone down, I'm looking and I see only 22 cars that are still on the lead lap, or I'm sorry, no, there's still others on the lead lap, but as far as the main group of the track cars, only 22 of them are up there, which means all those other guys have run into problems either with spins, maybe had damage, or had to pit.
Well, that's right. We've got guys like Nico Brandt, who's way down in between the C-Spec drivers. We have Saba Volika, who was involved in that big accident. He's trying to make his way back now, and that's going to be interesting to see. And then a few others as well. So they're pretty well mixed up at this point in time. So I think over to you, Kevin. What's happening up the front there?
Well, I think now that the action has settled down a little bit, maybe it's a good time to roll through the top 10 teams, see how everybody's shaken out. So I'll start that off. In first place overall, the team graphic is, the team is Team Radicals with Mac Backham and Paul Ilbrink on 57 points. Tied with them for first place is Team GT2 of Luigi Nespolino and Angelo Di Mella. Joe?
Yeah, and then tied for third still, we have iRacing Denmark Team 1 with Eagle Sandfield and Rasmus Larsen. Eagle's currently holding down fourth in track, seventh in C-Spec for Rasmus. PM Gulf Racing with them tied at 51 points. Marco Derrick's fifth in track, and Pascal Lan and sixth in C-Spec. Meanwhile, back in fifth, Belned Racing with 47 points, holding down very solidly. Actually, I'm sorry, they're tied. There's a lot of ties going on here. Belned has Ruud Mulders in 12th in track. Wim Stockman's third in C-Spec, so he's doing very well. iRacing Denmark Team 2 also tied for fifth. Anders Dahl is holding down the lead in the C-Spec, which we mentioned, with Stefan Overgaard in 14th. Richard?
Yeah, Stefan Overgaard's made up 2 places, bearing in mind he was in 16th place about a lap or so ago. In 7th place on the team standings, we have MB Motorsport with Bob van Katwijk and Martijn Hilligers, and their drivers are 5th in C-Spec and 11th in track. Then in 8th place we have Team QC with Eric Caron in 10th place in C-Spec and Carl Villeneuve in 7th place in track. And 9th place Team Breaking Bad, love that name.
Oh, it looks like we may have lost Richard, so I'll follow that off. Team Breaking Bad is Jas van Hoorn, who's 10th in the track, and Nick Thyssen, who's 11th in C-Spec. And then 10th is Team Virus, which is Dennis Garrison, 6th in the track, and Roy Visser, 16th in C-Spec. And we should point out that while we were talking all about that, we had a change for the podium as PM Gulf Racing took over the final third spot all by themselves, 51 points to iRacing Denmark Team 1's 50 points.
So just goes to show why every position matters around here, as it's so close. I'm watching Stefan Mauselar, and he's dealing with a lot of bad traffic here, trying to go too wide through the kink. Oof. And manages to hold on to it. He had some C-Specs there that were, or I'm sorry, actually that was Mac Backham just ahead of him. He was right up on him. I thought that was another C-Spec car, but there was a battle for the lead there.
Yeah, and you can see Mac probably getting a little sweaty right now because guys are going side by side into Canada in front of him. He doesn't want to watch them make contact and spin in front of him. So now he's got to start picking his way through these guys that are having hot battles.
Absolutely, and I'm seeing some rather aggressive moves from these guys up front in the track, trying to get around these C-Spec cars. You see Stefan Mauselar go around the outside of Dirk Turlings on that final corner there. But even despite that, he's still lost time. He's got Tim Nguyen between himself and the leader right now.
And it sounds like we're on board with Stefan Mauselar right now as we approach the braking zone for turn 1. Very, very, very fast entry. Car gets a lot of push, and he's going side by side with that C-Spec car right there.
Yeah, I think he knew he had the grip to stay to the inside and just slipped it up there on the exit, which was probably a good choice as long as he didn't go wide. He was probably safest there. Still got another car. Seems like no matter what he does, as soon as he gets by one car, there's more traffic in the way just to put a distance between himself and Backham.
But he's doing a good job right now on the Moraine sweep. He hasn't lost that much. And it cuts very widely across under the braking zone, across the bow of, who was that, Kuhn Gerards. That was a little dangerous in my opinion, but it all came out for the good.
Well, while we're waiting for Richard to try and sort out some of his technical issues, we do have our spotter here, Brian Corwin, to help us out. Also acts as our pit reporter. And Brian, have you seen anything going on in the C-Spec class?
Well, right at the moment, I haven't had a chance to watch the C-Spec. I've been keeping track of the notes that have been going on in the pits. Earlier today, we saw Arno Gibbon, correct me if I'm wrong on his name, he took a few instant repairs. Marcel Longer also took some repairs. We had quite a few drivers disconnect. We had Dryers, Nabar, Niehaus, and it looks like several drivers may be losing connection to the server. I'll get back to you as soon as possible on the C-Spec. We're going to give Richard a little bit more time here to see if he can connect, and I'll just keep an eye on action as it happens around the track.
Excellent. Thank you, Brian. Well, I am still back up on the track here, Kevin, and it looks like no matter what Stefan Moseler... Well, actually, no, I take that back. He is actually behind him now with no cars between them. But just as I say that, they've got another 2 battling cars right in front of them, and this could come into play coming into this first corner here.
Yeah, it looks like Mac Backham is going to be able to get through the... Well, no, he's kind of weaving a little bit... or excuse me, I'm not entirely sure who that is there. Actually, yeah, that was Mac Backham trying to get through them. He has successfully. That's a C-Spec that goes wide through turn 1, and Stefan Mausselaar makes it 3 wide on the run from turn 1 to turn 3. But looks like he should be able to make that happen cleanly. Yes, he is, and through he goes.
Yeah, you know, I don't blame him. Oh, and the car goes off behind him. That was Robert Vita, who was unfortunately spun on turn 3. So looks like he is set back by that. I don't blame Stefan for that aggressive move, though. He's really got to keep doing this to try and hold on to Mac.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the places where the track car is much faster than the C-Spec car is under braking there in that kind of slightly curved braking zone with a bunch of bumps. So that kind of makes sense for me, for Stefan, to make sure that he, really kind of attacks right there around that slower C-Spec car and gets the good run onto the Moraine sweep.
Well, and watching this and looking at the score, I have to say I don't see. Let's see, where is Stefan actually in the team standings right now? Because Mac is up at the top, and he is going to want to hold on to that with them being tied on the team points. Just losing that one position means they are going to fall down, and Team GT2 are going to overtake them.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think right now Team GT2's favorite driver on track right now is Stefan Mausselaar, because if he makes that position change for the overall lead, then Team GT2, Luigi Nespolino and Angelo Di Mello will move up into the overall team lead.
All right, we're on the nose of Mac right now, seeing what exactly we see going through this traffic as he weaves around that C-Spec car coming into the final corner. And then he's got 2 more to get by here, and they're already going too wide. So it looks like it's just no rest for the weary as he comes up this front straightaway. Very steep hill. You can just see, all you can see is sky coming up there. Onto the inside of that car that he is now lapping, Pascal Lan, and then he's got Denny Rotz up in front of him, brakes and just blows by coming into the first corner. And let's hop back out and see where exactly Stefan Mausselaar is in all of this. And it looks like he has actually still got a car between him. He is trying to weave through this traffic just as quickly as Mac is.
And I think Mac might have gotten held up a little bit on the exit by Bob Van Katwick. Nothing going on there other than different classes. And I think Stefan Mausselaar probably got a good launch out and should be good to go. So these guys are back on as Mac Backham has what looks like 1 million cars in front of him under the braking zone. Gets under Remco Mate and up to the run to turn 6 as there's a car that spins, goes into the wall. I'm not sure who that was. Did you catch that, Joe?
I caught it, but I did not see who exactly it was. I was kind of keeping an eye on Mausselaar because he was just flying up the braking zone into 5. I was afraid he was going to run into someone. And look, there goes Mac Backham's teammate of Paul Ilbrink that he goes by right now. I have to imagine that Ilbrink is probably not going to do many favors for Mausselaar right now. Yeah,
I think you're right, Dan. To give you a quick update, that was Denny Rates who backed into the wall. but looks like Ilbrink is not doing anything too special here, but he's definitely got Stefan Mauslaar in the wrong spot in the kink. Mauslaar just nowhere to go right there. You can't really make it side by side, and sure enough, he has to wait until after they get onto the back straight to make a move there, and that gives Mac Backham a nice gap. It's about 3 seconds right now on track.
Yeah, it's like I said, I mean, obviously these guys are going to do everything within their power to not break the rules, but they're also going to push it to the absolute limit. They do have blue flags, and they are asked to drive predictably, but I could tell that Ilbrink was not just pulling over. He was trying to just make sure that he did nothing that gave him an advantage. Meanwhile, Mauslaar is into the pits.
And so is Backham. Our overall leaders are in pit lane.
Actually, speaking of pit stops, it looks like Arno Gieben is also in the pits. This is his second time in today, so it will be a lengthy repair, but he did take damage. It might just be a routine stop. We'll get back to you on that and Joe in a little bit.
We are 17 laps in. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Joe, I wanted to point out that there's been yet another change for the podium in the team standings. It's now being owned by iRacing Denmark team number 2. That's Anders Dahl and Stefan Overgaard, who has moved up to 9th in the track. So Stefan is having a great run.
And I'm curious to know, with some of these pit stops kicking off, if that's whether that some of that has been kicked off by the pit stops allowing Stefan to move up. I mean, if he hasn't, then kudos to him, Richard, because that is some impressive progress.
Well, guys, I am back. I apologize for the technical problems I experienced. I lost my internet. Not much I could do about that, but I'm still firing up and not quite ready yet.
All right, we'll get back to you, Richard, when you feel ready. But in the meantime, yeah, I want to hop over to Stefan Overgaard for a minute and see exactly what he's doing, because I really am curious as to whether that's through pit stops or what. I'm not sure if you know how many C-Specs have pitted so far, Brian.
It looks like cars in both classes are just spilling into the pits. I think it is about time for the fuel window to be coming up to a wide open status. Right now I'm looking at 5 or 6 cars, both in mixed classes. So yeah, I'm guessing it's routine. No one looks to really have damage. If they did, it would have been their first instant repair. So it looks like a bunch of cars are coming back on the track, no damage. They must be in their fuel window.
Well, Mac Backham and Stefan Mauslaar are back on the track, and they are in order as they were before. It doesn't seem like anything was gained, because there's still about a 3-second gap that I can see between them, Kevin.
Yeah, it looks like maybe Stefan picked up a few tenths, but that's not really enough to worry about at this moment, considering how strong the draft is and how much we saw traffic coming into effect just in the last few laps.
Yeah, and it honestly surprises me just how much the traffic has been coming into play here. I knew that there would be quite a bit of it with 60 cars on track in 2 different classes, but it seems like for a while between Mac and Stefan, it was just almost hellish out there trying to figure out which way to go and know who to go, who to trust when you're trying to make a move. We'll see you on the other side. We're going to go to a quick break, let some of these pit stops play out. Welcome back to the gathering of Tweakers Roof Championship Team Challenge. I'm sorry, and actually, I was sorry. I was ruffled by the challenge that we have going on for the championship right now because it is tied up at the top at 57 points between the Radicals and Team GT2. But the Radicals are under threat because Paul Ilbrink, if he loses the position he's in right now, which is 4th in C-Spec, he is going to lose that lead for his team. And Diego Comuni was challenging last time by. In fact, Bob Van Katwick was also up in the mix for a while. But right now I'm watching this battle, Richard, between Paul and Diego because it has been hot.
And they're approaching turn 1, and Diego is right on the bumper of Paul Ilbrink. As they go down, they've gone through, and they go down to 2 and 3. This will take them onto the moraine sweep, which is that very, very fast straightaway down into turn 5 there. So here we have Diego Comini going to the outside, Paul Ilbrink hugging the inside. Diego decides that he'll stay behind him at this point. Paul is now in front. They break down for turn 5. And they maintain position. Paul Ilbrink very nicely through there. Diego coming again. He goes to the inside as they go into 6, but thinks the better of making the challenge. So things remain as they are for the moment, Joe.
And it surprises me that Diego is backing out of some of those moves because he's had a couple opportunities here that we just saw. And if I were him, I would have taken them. But I'm wondering if he's aware that Paul is going to be incredibly aggressive because he's holding on to the Challenge Championship. And as far as Diego goes, I believe he is all the way down in, I want to say, 12th. Nope. But he is at least below the top 10 from what I understand in the points championship right now.
Yeah, Diego Comuni and Mirko Salati of Team GT1 are in 13th in the team standings.
Oh, and Paul Ilbrink actually goes off onto the kink. Amazingly, he keeps it out of the wall, but he was off into the grass, and now Diego is clearly on by. Is he going to try and hold on to it into Canada corner? Yes, he's got it at this point. Let's see if Paul tries to try and get it back.
Well, Paul is challenging hard straight away after coming back on track. And they're coming into the final turn now, and they'll be heading up the straight. So at this time, we should see the draft kick in. Let's see what Paul can do. Although he's lost a little bit on the exit of the final turn there and is being overtaken by another car, and that is Eagle Sandfeld overtaking him there. So he's dropped back. He is now got a car between himself and Diego Comini, Joe.
And guys, Eagle Sandfeld is part of the podium team of iRacing Denmark Team 1, Eagle Sandfeld and Rasmus Larsen. So not quite enough to move them into second overall, but that position change for Paul Ilbrink has definitely moved Team Radicals into second and Team GT2 into first.
So between the top 3 teams, there is a scant 6 points. And in fact, between 1 and 2, there is now only 1 point difference. So Paul Ilbrink has got to get up there and get that position back to get themselves back up into this championship.
Yeah, he can't ask any more of his teammate Mac Backham because Mac is leading the overall race and has got about a 3-second lead over Stefan Mausdelar in the track cars for first and second.
Well, we've watched this battle for a while, so let's check elsewhere to see what exactly is going on. Kevin, we haven't talked to you a while about the tracks. What's the action like up there?
Well, there's actually a great battle going on right now between Dennis Garrison, Saba Avokia, and Martin Hilligers for 8th, 9th, and 10th overall. These guys are kind of just weaving all over right now when I look over, and I'm seeing 2 cars going side by side through turn 5. So these guys are on.
That was a hell of a dive bomb from Sabavolica, but he made it work, and thankfully Dennis was heads up and gave him the apex with him just absolutely bombing into there. And actually, I think he's got the pace because Saba is just quickly taking off now.
Yeah, I remember we saw Saba up at the front of the track field before he had that big incident earlier on with, I forget who it was. Was it Dennis Garrison? But so we know Saba's got the pace. He's just a little bit back in the field from where he would like to be.
Well, meanwhile, Dennis still has Martin Hilligers, who is still trying to challenge him, and they're coming towards the kink with a couple of cars. I think that's a lap car in front of them right now, and thankfully nobody tries to go through too wide. Now he's able to clear that car coming down the back straight, and I think, unfortunately, Hilligers does not look close enough to try and make a challenge into Canada.
Yeah, Hilliger's had to get on the brakes. No, he is going to make the move into Canada. Well done by the lap car of who was that? Dirk Turlings to allow Hilliger's by. So that was some heads-up driving there. Well done.
But he's off and on his way to try and chase down Garrison, who is up in front of him, and that is for 9th and 8th overall between these two.
Joe, Paul Ilbrink got his position back. Team Radicals is back in the overall lead, tied with Team GT2.
Well, Richard, it looks like the action is still going on through here. How exactly did that go on? Did you happen to see?
No, I was actually watching the battle with with the track cars that Kevin was calling, and I failed to see what happened there. But good on Paul Ilbrink anyway for grabbing the position back, because he's sitting now in 1, 2, 3. He's in 4th place as he has a massive bobble just going down the hurry downs there. So a car passed him. Who was that passed him? That was Diego Camini that passed him. So that'll cause some problems for them again, Joe.
Yeah, that'll move them back down. So he had tied it up, and just like that, he lost it once again. Meanwhile, I'm watching behind them. Wim Stockmans and Rasmus Larsen, those guys are fighting for position 5th and 6th in their class right now, and they've been going at it hammer and tongs too.
Well, that's right, and they are part, or at least Rasmus Larsen is part of the iRacing Denmark team number 1 with Eagle Sandfeld, and they're currently 3rd in the team standing. So very important for Rasmus Larsen to make up some positions, and hopefully he's 6th in C-Spec, and his partner Eagle Sandfeld is 4th in track, so they're doing pretty well.
Once again, if you want to follow along with us and see exactly what's going on in the championship, go to rtc180.nicktisson.nl. Also, a huge thank you to Nick Tisson for allowing us to use this app to keep track of it ourselves and keep you guys informed on what's going on in the championship. Well, Wim Stockman still has Rasmus right behind him. In fact, Rasmus seems to have a decent draft coming down the front straightaway.
You know, if Rasmus can make up a spot or two, they would jump a Team GT and Team GT2, sorry. So he's got everything to fight for here.
Absolutely. And right now it looks like Rasmus is very much right on the bumper coming towards 3, but he's not close enough to make it happen. All he's got to do is get a good exit, and he does get a very good exit on Stockman's here. And it looks like he's got to run down the wrong side coming into 5, though. But if he can get a nose ahead, he might be able to outbrake him.
Yeah, he's gone to the outside, which is not the preferred line. But I think he's going to make it work, Joe. He does. In fact, he moves up a position now ahead of Wim Stockmans. So that will change their standings when they go by the line.
Kudos to Stockmans for that move. That was a hell of a move around the outside there.
That was Larsen, actually, that made the move on Stockmans, but gaining 1 position, so important when you're looking at a team championship, Joe. As we have a car off the track there, who was that?
That was Diego.
That
was for position.
Right off.
Absolutely, yeah, that was for position, and it looks like Diego might have a bit of damage. I'm trying to see, as he pulled back on track, he looked a little squirrely. We also have to apologize. We're having a few technical difficulties going on with our cameras. So if you're not seeing what we're talking about, we're going to try and just keep you informed here. But we're going to get that sorted out as soon as possible.
Yeah, we seem to have a few technical problems with internet and other things happening. But back to the action. Diego Camuni, who was in he's currently sitting now in 4th place in their C-Spec championship, so in C-Spec standings, I should say, and he's back on track again. He does look a little bit squirrely there, Joe. So let's see if he jumps into the pits now, because that would sort him out. It doesn't look like he's going to go into the pits. He's going to stick with what he's got. He's still got a pretty good turn of speed, so he's going to stay out there and fight for getting some positions back, Joe.
Well, I bet Paul Ilbrink is thanking his lucky stars, because that has allowed them actually just now to move up into the lead on the points chart. They have 58 to the 57 of Team GT2. So, and that is Luigi Nespolini and Angela D'Amelia, who are currently holding down 2nd in the championship. So those guys have got to get 2 more positions to try to get themselves up there.
That's right, but we did see Diego Camini make up 1 place The guy that he overtook there was Andre Martins. So he is moving forward. He's gone quite a distance away from Andre right now. So the next one, as we see another car off track there, the next one in his sights is Marco Derrick. So let's see what he can do about that one. In the meantime, let's see what's happening up near the front with Anders Dahl. Anders Dahl leading this thing now, Joe. As we see a car off again, who is that? That is Doriano Ricucci. So he's a back marker at this stage and not doing too well at this point in time, but he's back on track.
Yeah, it seems like he's got things going at the moment. Anders Dahl has just been kind of cruising from all we've seen. We haven't talked about him a whole lot, but we haven't seen any drama either. And he has got a very clear lead. In fact, several seconds over Angelo De Melia, who is currently in second in his class and second in the championship points. So he is going to want to try and make up time. I'm not sure that he's going to be able to do any more than he has as he goes very squirrely around the outside of the final corner there. But he's going to have to hope for a mistake from Anders Dahl at this point, I would think, Richard.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's quite a ways back, Angelo. And Paul Ilbrink in third place in this championship, part of the currently leading team of Radicals with Mac Backham leading the race overall. So these guys are sitting in a really good position at this point in time. If Paul can just hold on to that position, which I must say should be a little bit easier now with the fact that he's virtually by himself here, Joe.
Absolutely. Well, since we've talked about the C-Spec for a while, I'm kind of taking a glance over at the track cars and seeing what's going on over there. I see that Mac Backham is still leading by at least a decent amount. Last time by the line, it was 1.3 seconds back to Mauselar. So he's still got that little bit of a buffer, Kevin, but he's not quite out of the woods, as they like to say. Although Luigi Netpolino, who is still sitting in third, is in second in the team championship, and he has got a long way to go to try and make anything up.
Yeah, Luigi's about 22 seconds behind Stefan Mauselar for that battle for second place. But Mac Backham, he had a little bit over a 3-second lead for the overall, and then traffic came in. Stefan Mauselar closed that up to about a 1.5 seconds, and then Mac has just started driving away again. So it looks like Mac Backham is definitely the stronger car right now after pit stops have been served. But you guys have definitely gotten to see a lot of action with Saba Vokja, who's been very fast. He was moving forward, had Richard Schauterin on him, and then finally went and served his pit stop to get a full tank of fuel, come back out. And so Saba is currently in 15th overall, and he's about 10 seconds behind the 14th place car of Remco Moat.
So trying to make up for that early mistake, you have to wonder what could have been if he hadn't have got into that trouble, because he is definitely a fast character. But we are still trying to sort out our technical issues, so we apologize. Thankfully, at least you still have picture, but you're getting a nice view full of a car with a Vodafone logo on it, so I'm not sure exactly which car that is at the moment. But yeah, it seems like things are starting to settle out, but it's so incredibly tight up top. All it takes is one mistake from one driver up in these top, I would say, 3 teams, and it could all change.
Yeah, it certainly could, Joe. I've just been putting the cameras back on to Paul Ilbrink, who is in third place in the C-Spec class. If things work according to plan, bearing in mind we're now into lap number 26 of 45, so still a long way to go. But these guys are currently sitting pretty, because Mark Backham leading the race in the track class, and Paul Ilbrink in third place in the C-Spec class. They're doing it easy at the moment. So it remains to be seen what Angelo De Mello, who is in second place in C-Spec, and his partner Luigi Nespolino, who is in third place. So these guys, if they want to take that place, that spot away at the lead of the team championships, one of the 2 of them has to make the move and get a spot away from someone in front of them.
Well, I know Rasmus Larsen is going to have the fire lit under him because right now, fairly close to Paul Ilbrink, not close enough to make any sort of moves. He ran into some traffic, so he got slowed down there for a bit. But those two, I mean, Ilbrink is in first in the championship right now, and Larson is in third. And those are the only two that I see that are possibly close enough to maybe have an effect on what could happen in the points.
Yeah, that's quite right. I'm having a look at Rasmus Larsen at the moment, and he is, whoa, there's a bunch of cars just ahead of him there. Some of them all lap cars as well, and they could make life difficult for him. But Rasmus at this point in time has a bit of work to do, Joe, because he's not making up any time on the guy in front of him. As we see Davy Douche just spin his car out just by the way. I'll go back to Rasmus Larsen, and yeah, he's got a lot of work to do, Joe.
Just a quick note, Pascal Lon off screen did have a rollover actually, so he is definitely got some damage at this point. But yeah, still holding on to Rasmus and Paul Ilbrink here. There's no cars between them, so now Rasmus just has a clear track to try and hunt him down, at least until they get up to Carl Villeneuve, who actually is the faster class, so I guess they're not going to catch him. So ignore what I just said.
Yeah, Rasmus, I'm just looking at the distance between Rasmus and Paul Ilbrink. We did see that Paul very fast, but had the occasional bobble or even off track. So he's just going through turn 5 at the moment, and Rasmus Larsen now coming through turn 5. So there's not that great a distance between the two of them. If Rasmus can just keep it steady, he might be able to catch up to Paul Ilbrink, but Paul Ilbrink has shown quite a turn of speed, and of course his partner Mac Backham is leading the race overall. So these two guys sitting pretty at the moment.
Yeah, it feels like that Rasmus just isn't catching the good breaks that he needs. What he really needs right now is for Paul to try and catch some traffic at the wrong time, get held up, and for Rasmus to get by, after those turns and just blow by him on the straightaway so that those two can get together. Because right now it doesn't seem like he just doesn't have the speed to try and catch him, as we see, or we don't see actually, because we're still dealing with the difficulties. But Paul Ilbrink, oh, we are fixed. Actually, we are back. I'm sorry. So
and since we can change camera angles again, sorry about that, folks. We got to go to the overall lead for Mac Backham and Stefan Musar. That is a half-second gap. This battle is back on once again.
Yeah, Mouselar is right on top of him from what I'm seeing, going through the carousel right now. So he has definitely made a good job of making up that time. Was that due to traffic, or did he just hunt him down?
Both just kept plugging away, and a little bit of traffic helped Stefan Mouselar right up. But once again, we see that Stefan's a little weaker in the carousel and through the kink, but he's got the back of that draft right now, so should be able to catch right up on the main straight here.
Mouselar in that yellow and black car trying to hunt down the red and white car of Mac Backham. Coming around to the final part of the lap. We are on lap 29 of 45. We're getting towards the end of it. Pit stops are done for everybody. If you're going to make it happen, you got to make it happen on track.
Yeah, absolutely. But looks like Mouselar, he's that's what he's trying for. He's got the only thing he's got in his favor right now is that overall win. His team championship is pretty much done with his teammate having wrecked so early on.
Yeah, well, they're not doing too terribly bad. It's just not a whole lot of glory in the 7th position that they're scored in right now. Although, looking at Stefan, he closed up a lot coming into that first corner there. So he's doing pretty good on this first portion of the course. Let's see how he does coming out of the exit of 3.
Yeah, I definitely think Stefan's carrying a little bit less wing than Mac Backham is, and that shows up on the early part of the track where they're on the big straights, and it penalizes Stefan a little bit when they're in the downforce heavy section of the carousel and the kink.
So coming up to turn 5 here, and wow, I was surprised that Stefan was able to get that car slowed down. It looked like he just slid it into the apex there. Missed it by a few feet, but not a whole lot. Still holding on, but it looks like he's just not able to close up that gap and get quite up there. Every time he gets close, just starts to lose it just a little bit. Like you said, strong in different areas on this track between these two. Meanwhile, behind them, Luigi Nepolini is, about half the circuit away, it seems, from what I'm looking at. So, yeah, it's about a 27-second gap last time by, and then another almost 25 seconds back to Eagle Sandfeld. So the closest thing up front that we're seeing are these two for the overall, Mac Backham and Stefan Mauselar.
And Stefan right now, oh boy, Stefan almost went 4 off on the exit of the kink. I was going to say he needs all the help he can get right now with the traffic in front of him. That is the car of Christian Paolini, that red and black C-Spec right there. And in front of them is Ruud Mulders. So Stefan needs that help right now. He's going to get a little bit of it, and this is where Stefan's strongest.
Yeah, it looks like Mac was held up just a little bit coming into this turn, had to take a compromised line coming into that final corner, but it didn't hold him up too much. The good thing for Stefan is that he is at least going to get this draft coming up from Christian Paolini.
Yeah, he is, and that should help him on the approach to turn 1. Yep, there goes Stefan. He should be able to have this nice and easy under braking.
Yeah, just slots on by, kind of tries to get back to the line as much as he can without chopping off Christian, though, trying to be polite to that other class. And thankfully doesn't lose a little too much there. Coming onto the Moraine sweep, now still trying to chase down that leader. They got one more car to get by, and that is Ruud Mulders that they are coming up on, who is actually the same class, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult to try and get by him unless he cooperates.
Yeah, I would imagine Ruud probably is going to cooperate. Yeah, it looks like he's giving it up nice and easy under braking here through 5. But he checks up and almost catches Stefan Mauselar out. But Stefan moves to the inside and is able to make that pass done.
Yeah, and I'm actually really impressed that Stefan was able to be as heads up as he was and just sneak inside, because there was just a car width right in there at the apex, and was able to slide through there. Christian Paolini, actually, just to note, and Ruud Mulders are together fighting for position, even though they're a lap down. Although they're there, they get held up by, who is that, Davy Doog, that gives, I believe, Christian the opportunity coming up through the carousel now to just close up onto the back bumper of that car in front of him.
And actually, the interesting thing we should point out is that Ruud Mulders and Wim Stockmans are part of Belned Racing. That is the 4th place team overall. The 5th place team is Team Granny Smith. That's Stefan Mauselar and Hermano Colombo. So a bit of action here amongst the top 5 teams, all on track together. Nice to see.
The cream always rises to the top, as they say. Christian's still trying to hunt down Ruud, and this is for 10th and 11th position overall. Even though they're a lap down, that's still important to them. And it looks like a big mistake from Ruud Mulders there, and that's just going to allow Christian to go on by. In fact, I think Ruud gave it up coming into that last corner.
And yep, Ruud's going to go into pit lane, so he must have been one of the cars that was involved early in an incident, and now he's just getting the fuel that he needs to finish off this race.
Well, hopping back up to the lead real quick here just to see how that was going while we were watching that back marker battle. Stefan is very much closer to Mac. And coming into turn 3, actually Mac is being held up by a back marker, so now he is less than a car length back, Kevin.
And I'm sorry, but I don't know what happened. Luigi Nespolino, is in 4th place overall, 25 seconds behind Eagle. So something significant happened there, and that's going to affect the overall standings, championship standings, I think.
Yeah, let's see if Brian can go and tell us what exactly happened. But there's a challenge for the lead as Stefan goes around the outside into turn 5. They almost make contact. Mac Backham holds onto it, but just barely coming into 5. Once again, it looks like Stefan has to back out of it, but he is ready to make that challenge.
Well done for Stefan. That was a great move that he made. Too bad it didn't stick, but we know Stefan's ready to go right now.
Well, while Brian is still trying to check out what exactly happened to Luigi Nespolino, we're going to stick with this battle because this is just hotted up quite a bit.
Yeah, and what we did see at the end of the last stint was that Mac Backham was a little weaker on the old tires than Stefan Mauselar is. I'm not sure what happened last time by, if maybe Mac's just been driving a little more aggressive on his tires than Stefan has. But this happened last stint where Stefan was able to close up at the end of the stint, and we're seeing it once again.
Oh, an unfortunate break for Stefan there. He had some lap traffic in the form of Andre Martins. Just kind of held him up coming into Canada Corner, and that's given a little bit of a break to Mac Backham, who's trying to get by some more traffic, and it looks like Stephen J. Richardson is going to hold him up yet again. Stefan Mauselar just can't catch a break. Oh, his momentum was just hugely held up out of that final corner, Kevin.
Yeah, and did Mac Backham go into pit lane? I think Mac Backham has stopped.
He is. Mac Backham is in pit lane. What is going on here? That is
Well,
unusual.
I guess everybody needs to serve a second pit stop. I'm completely wrong about fuel, I guess. I thought it was just a one-stop strategy, but Backham's in pit lane. It sounds like Richard needs something to report.
All right.
Yes,
Well,
I will report. Remember, we're talking about the battle between Paul Ilbrink and Rasmus Larsen, who needed to catch up to him for them to move up in the team standings, because we've seen Eagle Sandfeld move up. I can report to you guys that slowly but surely, Rasmus Larsen is catching Paul Ilbrink. There's no cars between them at the moment as they go down to the Hurry Downs, and they'll be in the carousel in a second or two. But that gap is closing, guys.
yeah, and if Rasmus can pull that off, right now the standings are that the Radicals team with Mac Backham and Ilbrink are first with 57 points. Team GT2 are second with Nepolini and Mella at 56 points. So there is only 1 point separating them. If Ilbrink loses that spot, it's going to be a tie yet again. And then in third, only 55 points. Eagle Sandfield and Rasmus Larsen. So actually, Rasmus is competing directly. That's going to put them a three-way tie for the lead in points.
Absolutely, and I think it seems to me that Rasmus knows this, because he's pouring it on at the moment. He's been catching Paul Ilbrink, but just in this last lap, Paul Ilbrink seems to have responded, and he's desperately now trying to stay ahead. But oh dear, we have Rasmus going into the pits. Why?
Well, I think
Joe, sorry to interrupt you. It does appear that it may be a two-stop race. I did not expect to see this many cars come into the pits. We did have some drama earlier when Pascal Lon rolled his car over going towards Canada Corner, and ever since then we've had a steady flow of cars just coming in and out, probably playing the fuel strategy. Robert Vitta has made 2 stops this race so far. I could tell one of them was a fuel stop. I don't know if he used his instant repair, but he did make a second stop. And following short after that, we had Mark Figueroa's, Von Kotwick, Villanueva, Baumel, Mulders, Heben again, Sandfield, and Williamson. So it does look like we have a multiple stop race, and the fuel strategy will come in. So these guys better make a quick splash and conserve their tires as long as possible. This might be a more dramatic race than we thought.
absolutely. And, I'm looking at Stefan Musalar, who just stopped into the pits now. Mac Backham is coming up to, actually, he's just passing the pit entrance right now. So this is going to be very close. If Stefan is going to hold on to the lead, he's got to go now. There he goes. Mac Backham has the momentum. Is Stefan going to be able to hold on to it? He's getting his speed up coming towards turn 1. He's going to have the defensive line coming into it. It looks like he's able to hold him off. So Stefan Musalar has moved himself into the lead, but now it looks like that was Danny Booz, who has gone off the track there. So Mac Backham is a significant way back. I'm sorry I had the wrong car. Mac Backham is a whole, it looks like at least 3 seconds away.
I'm showing it's about 1 second live right now. And that was all in pit lane right there. So well done to Stefan Musalar to make that happen.
Yeah, that was all strategy. Great stuff on him. Although, unfortunately, all that does for them is it looks like that shuffles down the Radicals because I don't believe Musalar is high enough up. I'm trying to see. Yes, they are still 9th in the points last time by, though that will change as they shuffle by the line next time. But right now in the point standings, Nepolini and Demella are leading in Team GT2 with 58 points, but only by a scant 1 point. The Radicals with Mac Backham are at 57, with Paul Ilbrink with him in the C-Spec in third.
And it looks like Ilbrink's in pit lane right now, so that's going to change our live standings a little bit, so we'll have to update you when that gets sorted out again.
Absolutely. Speaking of which, with Paul Ilbrink being in the C-Spec, Richard, we've got
a battle for the overall lead. Mac Backham is on the outside approach. On the inside approaching Canada Corner. This battle is not over. It looks like Backham's got the inside. Musalar's fighting back. They're side by side on exit. Musalar goes into the gravel, and it looks like Backham's got it. Nice and easily done there.
Decisive move from Backham. It almost seems like he's been toying with stuff on this whole way around. I mean, he didn't waste any time. That was within a lap that he got that pass done.
Yeah, that, I think maybe Backham just got the hotter tires right now and knew he had the chance to make it happen and just went for it.
Great stuff from Backham. So let's see how the team standings start to reshuffle themselves as they go by the line. And it looks like there was one more point added to them, but they've still got pit stops going on. As you mentioned, Ilbrink went into the pits, so they are 54 points back down. As we let these pit stops go through, actually, why don't we hop to a break and let things sort themselves out? We'll come back once things have shuffled around and gotten where they need to be. We're going to let the music play and show you guys some commercials. We'll see you on the other side. Welcome back. Welcome back to the RUF RTC. We are just seeing some awesome battles going on throughout the field. We are 36 laps in, so less than 10 laps to go around here in this 45-lap race. We're looking at Eagle Sandfeld, who's currently holding down fourth in the track class, with Dennis Garrison trying to hold on to him. Although, actually, no, I'm sorry. He's a ways back. It looks like. I apologize. I thought he was close behind him, but apparently not. So Eagle Sandfeld is all by himself at the moment, just kind of holding down fourth. But let's give you a quick update on what's going on with the team championships. It is still a tie after we've seen so much shuffling and only a scant few points between our top teams. Mac Backham and Paul Ilbrink and the Radicals with 56 points. Luigi Nepolini and Angela Demelia with 56 points in Team GT2. And those guys just can't seem to get away from each other. Meanwhile, Eagle is in third place with Rasmus Larsen. Those guys are iRacing Denmark Team 1. Kevin, it's been the tightest I've ever seen for a championship battle, and it's only one race.
Yeah, this is great action. I'm loving this action right now between Mac Backham and Stefan Mauselar. These guys are still going at it.
Yeah, just before we went to break, I saw Mauselar try to retake the lead into 5, but couldn't quite have it. And then he almost had a moment in turn 1 where his car started to get loose and just kept it pointed the right way. They're navigating some lap traffic there as they go on by Van Katwick and Demella. So it looks like, and actually, was that for position between Katwick and Demella? No, it was not. I apologize. We are, so let's stick with Mausolar and Backham, who are still less than a second between each other. Kevin.
You are right. It's currently showing 0.4 as they go into the carousel, and this is where we've seen Stefan Mausolar be weak all day. Just can't quite carry the speed that Mac Backham is able to through the carousel and through the kink. And sure enough, he's losing about a third of a second just through this sector.
We're getting word from Brian that there was actually another accident going on otherwhere in the fields.
Yeah, it looked like Molders had a huge spin coming out of turn 1. He saved it right before he went to the tire wall. Some traffic went around him, just barely getting by. And then right behind him, Andre Martin spins off of turn 1 into the wall on the other side of the road. He makes his way down the straight just fine, but he's losing time all significantly. And then he just pulls over, and it looks like he's going to come to the stop. I'm pretty sure he already used his instant repair today, so he's going to be in the pits for a while, Joe.
And let's take a look at 7th and 8th place for Dennis Garrison and Marco Derricks. These guys are on each other good. Looks like Marco Derricks is in the draft of Garrison. Looks like he's going to try and set up for a good run out of turn 3 and get that shot down the Marine sweep into turn 5. Maybe make a move. Garrison stays a little bit to the left on exit, kind of checks up Derricks, but let's see what happens here.
Yeah, and I think he got that run that he wanted because Derricks is now moving to the inside, coming down to 5. He's got a very good run. That draft has just allowed him to blow by there side by side and outbreaks him into the corner, takes the apex. Very cleanly done. That was textbook.
Joe, it appears that it has been his fate for the young Iberia native. Andre Martins is going to have to park the car, unfortunately, for Phoenix Motorsports, and it looks like his day's going to be done.
It's unfortunate to see another car get this far and throw it away at the end. Mistakes can happen at anywhere in the race. You really can't lose your focus with how long this race is, Richard.
Well, guys, just going back now to the C-Spec race for the moment. Anders Dahl somehow, with pit stops and everything else happening around him, has got back to the lead of the C-Spec class. Wim Stockmans, who was leading for quite a while, he inherited the lead when others were pitting. He's now in 2nd place, Joe. And Angelo De Mello, who had the lead of this race as well for quite some time, he's now in 3rd place. Paul Hilbrink, go ahead.
I was going to say, actually, we should stick with this battle between Angelo and Diego because this is 4th position, and Angelo is one of the teams, Team GT2, that is in the lead right now. So if Angelo loses this spot, that means that the Radicals will have the overall lead.
Yes, that is correct. I was just going to get to that, but you're sharper than I am. You spotted it before I did, but this is for position. They are very close. Diego Comini was the fastest qualifier in C-Spec, so we would imagine, Joe, that he will put up a great challenge here as he closes right up, coming through the final turn. They're on that very, very long straight. The draft will kick right in now. He's right behind him at this point in time. Angelo De Mello is keeping to the left. We have Diego moving to the outside, or rather the inside, I should say. He draws level now with De Mello, and in fact, it becomes quite an easy overtaking maneuver there, Joe.
And just as you say that, I see that the team championships have changed, and Team GT2 is now in the lead.
Unbelievable. A great move there by De Mello, by Diego Comuni to take over the lead of he's overtaken Angelo De Mello, and that puts him now in 2nd place overall in the C-Spec Championship. But we have Angelo coming back at him as they go through 5. Diego does cover that quite easily. They go into 6 now, and looks like he's pulling away. He's pretty good through this section of the track. Yes, he does pull away quite significantly there, Joe.
And I think it's worth noting that not far behind these guys is Paul Ilbrink, who is in the Radicals team, the competing team to Angelo De Mello, trying to take this points championship. So if those guys keep fighting and Paul can catch up to them, he can help seal the deal. He's currently sitting in 4th in the C-Spec with his other teammate, Mac Backham, sitting in 1st. So Matt can't do anything more. If Paul can move himself up, he could essentially make themselves impenetrable and force people to have to overtake them on the track.
Well, that's right, because... Sorry, go ahead, Kevin.
Well, I'd really like to move a little bit further back in the field, in the C-Spec field, for the battle between Danny Boas and Roy Visser. That's been going on. They've been trading paint a little bit the last lap, and stretched out a little bit as they had the car of Jupp Wilmsum move past them through turn 1, and now they have Saba Volkja hot on their tail as well, who's in the faster track car. So he should be able to move quickly through. But these guys, even though they're back in the field, they're putting on some good racing right now.
Absolutely.
Hate to break in, Joe. Arno Gleben is having a run of bad luck today. He just spun back off to the wall again. It looks like he's going to carry on, but right up the road, Garrett Van Bommel had another big spin right up the road, and he seems to be blocking both right lanes of traffic, just sitting there looking for a chance to get back on his way. So there's some drama in the middle part of the track going on right now.
And it's kind of hard to avoid that with so many cars out here. I'm still holding on to Roy Visser and Danny Boas, and it looks like Roy got just a little bit held up by Saba, but not too much. He was able to slip on by, but it's still very tight between these two for that overall position, and 13th and 14th in class.
Yeah, you said it. So Roy Visser is in that very nice Monster Energy car, which I'm fully in support of. Danny Boos is a part of that team Wrong Way Motorsports, which is a great name. So these guys, some great paints, and they're putting them to good use right now on camera.
Absolutely. And they're not going the wrong way right now if they're able to challenge like this. So good on them to be able to try and give it a good fight. We've got 5 more laps to go. From what I'm hearing, so we're getting very close to the end. It looks like we are on lap 40 for these guys. Mac Backham continuing to lead the field with Stefan Mauselar still hot on his tail.
Yeah, you said it was 0.6 of a second last time by the line, and currently on track it's about 1 second. So once again, we see that Mauselar's a little weaker on the back half of the track, and Mac Backham's a little faster on the front of the track, on the front half of the track.
So looking at how this is shaping up as far as the championships goes, we still only have 1 point separating the Radicals and Team GT2. Luigi Nepolini is currently sitting in 3rd, so is Angelo Di Mella, both of them. And it looks like, let's see how close Luigi is to the next car up.
Luigi's about 35 seconds away from Stefan Mauselar.
So he's got no hope of anything going down unless those two start to tangle with each other. And even if they do, they could probably have a spin and still hold on to that position. So he's about as good as he can go. Angelo Di Mella, on the other hand, last time we saw, he was battling with Diego Comuni, but Diego has just taken off. He's checked out, and his bags are all packed because there's a few seconds gap between those guys.
Yeah, but I think this is the important part. I think the team challenge is going to be decided by this battle between Angelo Di Mella and Paul Ilbrink. If Paul Ilbrink's able to move forward, that's going to ice the position. If Di Mella can move forward and get Diego Comuni, that's going to ice that position. So this team challenge is all right here for the podium in C-Spec.
And they've got a lot of traffic around them, so this is going to be a bit of chaos, and it's going to be very hard to tell if you can catch the person or not. It's going to take some opportunistic moves, as we see. Who is that behind Ilbrink? There was Nepolini, actually, that was making a wild move past Davey Duke, so he was trying to not lose time there. In the meantime, Ilbrink has only a few seconds between himself and Di Mella, but there's a few cars separating them at the moment, so he's got to make do through this traffic, and quick.
Yeah, you said it.
Yeah.
And go ahead, Richard.
Yeah, I was just going to say there's a lot of traffic around them at the moment, so they can't really get to battle each other. Paul Ilbrink just going through the carousel there at the moment. You can see the Angelo Di Mella in front of him there, but he can't get to him at this stage because of some intervening traffic there.
And some of that traffic is starting to try and clear through. It looks like that is Richard Schuterin, who is trying to get by. He is in the other class, I believe. Yeah, he is in the track class, so he's going to go on by. And same thing with Nepolino, who is a few laps ahead of these guys. So it looks like that once Nepolino and Bob Van Katwick get on by, it's going to be nothing between Ilbrink and Comuni.
Yeah, well, look, actually, Paul Ilbrink is chasing Angelo Di Mella for position. Diego Comuni is in front of Angelo Di Mella, So that's your second and third and fourth place. Anders Dahl, by the way, has well and truly checked out. He's leading the C-Spec class by a long way. So the battle is right here, as Kevin mentioned earlier. And at the moment, Paul Ilbrink not really making an impression on Angelo De Mella. The laps are running out, so it's a big question mark on whether he can catch up there. So we might see the championship, sorry, the team standings not change too much towards the end of this race.
Well, if there's one thing I think we've learned, Richard, is that it ain't over till it's over. You really just can't tell because mistakes can be made. They have to keep their focus. They have to try and weave through this traffic throughout the rest of it. Right now, there's no cars between them, so we're going to hopefully see a little bit of a direct... oh, actually, wait, something happened to Diego Comuni because Diego has now been caught by De Mella. So something happened along the line that really slowed up Comuni.
Okay, so then that makes it a three-way battle because Diego Camuni, who's now going to the carousel, let's have a look. So behind him, Angelo De Mella, catching him quickly by the look of things. And then, of course, Paul Ilbrink not that far behind him. So the battle is on now, and this is for position, and it is, in fact, for second place in the C-Spec class, Joe.
Yeah, and not just that, it's for the championship because if De Mella can get by Comuni, that's going to give him 1 point and tie things up with the Radicals. And as long as Ilbrink stays in his position, that's going to allow them to at least be on par. Now, it's going to take a hell of a lot more for him to try and move up one more position because, as you mentioned, Anders Dahl is way up there, but at least it keeps them even.
Well, you know, he closed right up in Canada corner, but then obviously he was carrying too much speed on entry, so he had to brake very hard. But now he's got the draft going down the main straight here. Let's see what he can do. And he is chasing Diego Camuni, who was in fact the fastest qualifier in this class, but he's closed right up in the draft, and they go through turn one right now. There's nothing between them, Joe.
He closed up a lot under braking, and he didn't really lose anything under acceleration here as well. I think if he can get a good exit out of 3, this could be a good chance for him to use the draft and maybe make a dive.
But Diego Comuni responded beautifully there, got a great exit, and as they go down the moraine sweep now, another draft area, let's see what happens into 5, because this, ooh, he's coming in hard, he's going to the inside. He can't make it stick there. He was just a little way too far behind him. So Diego Camuni breathes a sigh of relief as they go through 5 and 6 and down to the hurry downs. Still leading, but not by much, Joe.
Yeah, you kind of have to wonder, because he was so far back, if that was just a case of him trying to shake Diego, trying to, you know, show his nose and play some psychological games. If anything, he's got to use every tool he's got, because now they've got Paul Ilbrink right up behind them. As you said, it is a 3-horse race between these guys, and there is just nothing between them.
Absolutely, and this is for the second position. Keep an eye on the number of laps, because we do want to call the winner. But this is a 3-way battle with Paul Ilbrink joining the fray as we speak. They're going down the back straight towards the kink. Let's see what Paul Ilbrink can do here. We know that he's pretty fast through this area of the course. As are the other two, as we see De Mella tried something on there. Paul Ilbrink a little way too far back. The place, Angelo De Mella, Diego Camuni, those two fighting it out. But Diego responds every time as they go through the last corner now, Joe, back onto the front straight.
And this just goes to show the skill of some of these drivers, because it's not just about going fast at every point you can. It's about knowing how to exit these corners. It's one of those features of this track. If you get yourself a good exit, you're going to be so much less vulnerable than you try to outbrake yourself going deep into the corner. And I think Diego knows that, and he's using that to his advantage everywhere he can.
But right here, we've got Paul Ilbrink now. He's closed up significantly, Joe. He's right on the back now of Angelo De Mella, who's right on the back of Diego Camuni. This is the battle for second place, not first place, but it is as exciting as if they were battling for the first place.
Oh, this is the closest we've seen Ilbrink to him in a while, and I think he's got a good enough draft. Yes, he takes a peek coming up to the inside of turn 5, but now he goes back into line. It looks like De Mella goes defensive trying to go around the outside. Then we've got the switchback, and it looks like it just might work. Ilbrink has the inside line, but he decides to back out of it coming into 6.
Yes, he fell back into line. He thought about trying to dive into the corner number 4 there, but that was not a good place to do it. So now they go down to the hurry downs once again, 3 in a row. They will be coming through the carousel and down that back straight to the kink and through to Canada. So this is just about where all the marbles are being thrown into the ring, Joe.
Richard, please keep an eye on that because we just had the white flag, so we're going to hop up to the leaders because these guys are very close to themselves, and that's going to have an effect on this championship too. But if there's a change of position, you have to come in and tell us because there's 2 different spots that we got to watch right here. Right now, with 1 lap to go, Stefan Mauselar, Kevin, is still trying to hunt down Backham.
And just 2 laps ago, the gap was about 3 seconds, and now you can see it's about a third of a second. These guys have hotted up. This is the last lap. If there's going to be a move, it's going to have to happen very soon. As we see Mauselar go very deep under brakes, nearly gets into the rear end of Mac Backham, but he's closed up a little bit, even more.
Yeah, utilized that draft very well, coming through 6, holding on to him nice and smooth through. This is where he's got to be strategic, hit all your marks, not get too focused on the car in front. Backham has to do just the same and just has to hold on under the pressure, probably.
And there's a spinner in front of them. Marco Derrick spun on the exit, but it came across the track and cleared out, so that battle is still on.
Ooh, that's not what Mac has to see, and that just goes to show of what I was talking about. He can't get distracted. Mac has to be focused on what exactly he's doing in the car, not what anybody else is doing. It looks like Mauselar has got the draft coming through the kink. If he can get a good exit, the next good chance is going to be, and he goes all the way into the grass. He might have lost it there, Kevin. That could have been his best chance.
Yeah, I agree with you. That was probably his best chance, but he went 4 off. He's lucky to keep it on track, but he's close into Canada. He's going to have to sort it out real quick.
Oh, and there's a car that's off. Almost
that was very close. Both cars almost hit them. And so last chance right here. You got to get a good exit out of this last corner and get that draft on the run. Looks like Mauselar does have a good approach through there. How's this exit? They both go a little bit wide. Mauselar gets much wider. That's going to be the end there as Mauselar just barely keeps it on track. Mac Backham is going to be the winner of the RTC 180. How are the team championships going to put together, though?
Ilbrink has passed Angelo De Mello for the 2nd position, so that changes things up. There was a fierce battle going on while you guys were talking about the front runners there. It's not over yet, Joe. We have Angelo De Mello trying to get back at Paul Ilbrink. I did think Paul was out of it for a little bit there, but he came back at De Mello and took the position from him. Unfortunately, what it's done is it's allowed Diego Camuni to get away from these 2 just a little bit as they come down into Canada. De Mello throwing everything at him there. They come to the exit. Paul Ilbrink responds. He manages to keep ahead of De Mello. This is the final lap for these guys as well. It looks like they are going to possibly finish in this unless they can use the draft. De Mello gets a great exit. They all get a great exit, and I think this is the way it's going to end, Joe.
Yeah, and in the meantime, Anders Dahl did take the win in his class as well, and this just adds insult to injury and just widens the gap in the point championship with Ilbrink overtaking De Mello. As it stands, and I believe that all these cars up at the top have finished, the Radicals took the win in the points with 57 points, and actually, no, that should be 58 with Paul Ilbrink moving up 1 more. And so, yes, there it goes right now. So Mac back. And we've got a battle in the C-Specs. I'm sorry, the track battle going on. And that is between Roy Visser and Danny Bowes. Let's hop over to that. And that unfortunately has petered out as well. So let's go through actually what the top 3 are in the points. As I said, Radicals won. Mac Backham and Paul Ilbrink, well done, 1st and 3rd in each respective class. Team GT2, 55 points, nothing to be ashamed of with 2nd. Luigi Nepolini in 3rd. Angelo De Mello in 4th. And then in 3rd, iRacing Denmark, Team 1. Eagle Sandfeld and Rasmus Larsen 4th and 5th, respectively. Well done to those top 3.
Well, look, it was a terrific battle there towards the end. It never fails, does it, Joe? You always get some really exciting races with these large fields. And also, after 45 laps, who would have thought that there would be that strong a battle for position right at the end there in both classes. So a great race.
And not only that, it was a battle for the overall win, and that's after 90 minutes of racing. That's incredible that those guys were so close. But now that we've got most of the cars starting to finish out, we're actually going to head off to a break here, let things settle out. We should hopefully come back with a few interviews here, and we'll get the official standings to you, but we'll see you on the other side. Welcome back. We just watched an awesome race at Road America. It was the RUF Team Challenge, and it was an awesome one for Gathering of Tweakers. It was just battles all the way through, and the lead was in the air all the way up until the checkered flag. But the team championship is what everybody wants to know, and in the end, it was the Radicals that came away with the win with Mac Backham and Paul Ilbrink. Then in second, we had Team GT2 with Luigi Nepolina and Angelo De Melia. And third, it was iRacing Denmark Team 1 with Eagle Sandfeld and Rasmus Larsen. Fourth was PM Golf Racing with Marco Derricks and Pascal Lahn. Then fifth was Team Not a Chance. I'd say they had a chance for a top 5 at least, with Arjan Scheppers and Tim Wyan. Then sixth was Virus with Dennis Geressen and Roy Visser. Seventh was iRacing Denmark Team 2 with Anders Dahl and Stefan Overgaard. Eighth was Team QC with Carl Villeneuve and Eric Caron. Ninth was Team Saba with Saba Volika Jr. and Henrik Carlson. Then 10th was MB Motorsport with Martin Hilligers and Bob Van Katwick. Then we have got Kevin with the next 10.
And team, excuse me, our 11th place team was Team Big Smile, Jupp Williamson and Koen Geratz. 12th was Belned Racing, Ruud Mulders and Wim Stockmans. 12th was Team Granny Smith, and I just lost my screens here, guys. I'm sorry about this. Richard, you'll have to carry on.
So 12th was Team Granny Smith with Hermano Palumbo and Stefan Meiselaar. In 13th place was Bob Bass Slob and Michael Mellis in Team Vice Versa. 15th place Team GT with Diego Camuni and Mirko Salati. In 15th place, Wrong Way Motorsport, Robert Witte and Danny Bovis. In 17th place, Team 50 Shades of Awesome, great name, Dirk Teurlings and Gerrit van Bommel. In 18th place, we had one AAA Racing B team with Andy Morgan and Mark Figueres. And in 19th place, we had Blondie Racing with Davy Doog and Remco Moot. And in 20th place, Joe, Team Hoity Toity with Christian Paolini and Doriana Ricciuti.
Not so hoity-toity with a 20th position finish, I suppose. 21st was Team Arrow Squad with Richard Schotren and Marcel Longner. 22nd was Team Big Shot with Ronnie van Hazik and Willem van Zoorden. Then Team BSR TV was 23rd with Ellis Stevens and Steve J. Richardson. Then 24th is Team Breaking Bad with Nick Thyssen and Jos van Hoorn. 25th was Team Spitfire with Ricardo Solari and Anno Naber. 26th was Racing Lions 1 with Denny Rotz and Neil Heckens. Then 27th, Phoenix Motorsports with Andre Martins and Paulo Martins. Then we had Team Photo Finish in 28th with Arno Gieben and John Paul Niehaus. Then 29th was Team Twilight Sparkle with Nico Brandt and Karsten Borchers. And finally in 30th, it was Blue Flag Racing, appropriate name, with Timon Naburuz and Rhinus Dryers. Well, we do have our first place finishers, Mac Backham and Paul Ilbrink, and we are going to bring them in and talk to them about their win overall. Mac, you had quite a fight with Mouse all the way to the end there, it seemed.
Yeah, it was super close. I managed to pull a small gap in the starts in the first 5 laps or something, so I thought it was a little bit quicker. But then I made a small mistake, and then he was right on me for the entire race.
I noticed that in the second pit stops, he actually managed to jump you. Did that surprise you to see him in front? And was that intentional that you made such a decisive move to get the lead back so soon?
Yeah, it surprised me a little bit because when I entered the pits, I was a second ahead. But I guess he made it up because he had warm tires, an extra lap on that. Well, I had an extra lap on cold tires afterwards. But once he got out, I knew my tires were better. So I just went very aggressive and I managed to overtake him again.
Paul, it seemed like you guys had a lot of traffic to deal with back there, especially at the end. There was all three of you very close together. Were you pretty nervous about holding on to that lead in the points, or did you not even pay attention to that throughout the race?
Well, I wasn't really paying attention to it the most of the time, but then at the end I started to realize that Luigi had a teammate in front of me, and to be honest, I didn't know which one of the two it was, so I was kind of scared that they would switch around and that way win, but I managed to overtake one, so after that it was okay.
Well, I was very impressed with both of you guys. That was some absolutely awesome racing, immaculate up front there, Backham. Congratulations to you both.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Meanwhile, we have
En
Kevin.
del af det.
Meanwhile, we have Kevin with, I believe, our next with third place with Eagle Sandfeld and Rasmus Larsen.
We do. Eagle and Rasmus, well done. We didn't get to see a whole lot of you, but you guys had a very quiet, very solid podium finish.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Yeah, I guess it was kind of quiet for my part, except for the beginning where I had a great battle with Saba Walliker Jr. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. You did. It was pretty hot and heavy there in the early bits. So and then Saba had a big crash, and that I guess that was sitting pretty for you there.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate to see people spinning out, and I don't know what happened to him really, but yeah, it was quite good while it lasted. And then I was trying to catch up to Luigi on the third position, but he just kept driving away from me. So yeah, I just took it easy.
And Rasmus, I didn't get to see a lot of your race, but you were behind a very hot battle yourself there.
Yeah, a few times. I had 2 close battles. Can't remember the names, but it was a fun race. And for the last part of the race, it was just normal driving, taking a slow and easy line, and just keeping my pace, trying to avoid making any big errors.
Were you guys aware that you were in the hunt for the podium and maybe even second place in the team challenge?
Not at all.
Yeah, well, we talked about it, but I think we figured out that the Italian guys and the Steel Series radicals were probably up there, but yeah, we didn't figure out that we were on the third position actually.
Go ahead. We have joked a little between Eagle and me about taking a podium position, but we didn't expect it. So it was nice to find out.
Yeah, and actually, at a couple of points, you guys were even sitting in the overall lead through pit stops. So well done on this run today.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
And then, meanwhile, we do have one more person to talk to before we head out here. We got Stefan Overgaard, who unfortunately didn't finish too high up in the standings, but his team did take 7th place. He was teamed up with Anders Dahl, who won in his class. And I believe Richard is going to be ready to talk to Stefan.
Yes, I will do so indeed. Stefan, in the middle part of in the beginning of the race, you were fairly way down, and then you made your way forward quite nicely, I noticed. And what happened after that?
Well, I started in about the middle of the pack before the pit stop. I made a late pit stop, so I was, I think, all the way up to the 5 when I hit into pits, but came out on cold tires, and that caught me by surprise and hit into the wall. Then
yeah, we saw that happen. We had the cameras on you at that point, Stefan, and it was definitely the commentator's curse there for you, because the moment we had the camera on you, whammo, you hit the wall, and you hit it quite hard because you struggled back to the pits for over 2 minutes to get back into the pits. But luckily you still had a quick fix and you came out pretty strong again.
Yeah, luckily I hadn't hit anything before that, so I could use the quick fix, and the car was fine after that, but 2 laps down. So, but had an eventful last lap where I caught a couple of guys running out of fuel.
Yeah, it was a very exciting race, I must say. And how did you find the multi-class situation? Because of course you were in the faster class. Did you find that it was easy to get by the other class?
Yeah, it's a bit different than normally when you're in the faster class, because this time you're actually not fast on the straights. You had to do the overtakings on the braking to the corners, and But otherwise, once you knew that, it was quite okay.
Yeah, it is. There's not a lot between the two cars, particularly on the straights, as you mentioned. But you know, a great race to spectate, and certainly a very excellent race to call. So we give commiserations to you that you guys didn't get further up, but you certainly had your chances. Anders Dahl did a wonderful job in winning the C-Spec class, and it was up to you to try and get a good position for you guys to be up there. And with all due respects, it didn't work out for you. So commiserations, my friend.
Yeah, I'd hope for top 10, and I also apologize to Anders, but I think he's okay with it.
Okay. All right. Well, Stefan, thanks for talking to us, and I'll hand back to Joe right now.
Well, it's been an excellent race, and I think we all enjoyed it up here in the booth. But we want to thank a few people before we take off. Mostly, we want to thank Joop Williamson and Nick Thyssen, the organizers, for putting this together. They do a lot to make sure this thing runs smoothly, and I have to say we've been impressed with the way they put this all together. Also, thank you to the software and hardware that we use: iRacing.com, XSplit, Twitch TV, Audio Technica, and AverMedia. Thanks to the team today: Richard, Kevin, Brian, Giancarlo. You guys have all done an awesome job up in the booth as usual. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at www.globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archived races and race highlights. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at facebook.com/globalsimracingchannel. A special thank you to Eric Ekholm, who provides us with much of our music. You can find it not only here on GSRC, but in TV commercials, movie trailers, iTunes, and Spotify. If you like our music, tell Eric where you heard it at ericekholm.com. Also, thank you to Casey Lalonde, who provides us with music for our broadcasts as well. You can find more of his music at caseylalonde.bandcamp.com. Our next race is going to be the is going to be the greenvalleylake.com MX5 World Tour, and that is going to kick off at 2 p.m. on next Saturday. We're looking forward to that one. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.